you have to make sure that your name appears at least 3 times so that you can actually get your certificate. And also, when you're writing your when you're filling the attendance form, make sure you write your email you used in signing up, and we would share the link to the attendance very soon. So yeah, that's like a quick recap. So yeah, let's move on. We have Chris. Chris will be taking to this section, like I said earlier on, and he'll be taking notes on research methodology, how to structure research paper, writing for clarity, how to present and discuss your results, how to also like choose the right conference for your journals, common mistake you need to like look out for. And it will be actually having this section will be like a podcast style. So, who is our speaker? So, Chris is a seasoned researcher committed to developing intelligent systems that can learn even in low resource scenarios and are very reliable. And as a dedicated contributor to the field of African NLP, he has worked on several key projects to improve the representation of low resources African languages and technology. Welcome, Chris. If you're here, please can you unmute yourself?
Hi everyone.
Hi,
I hope
Chris.
you can hear me well. Glad to be here.
Okay. Chris, can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I heard the council. I said hi everyone. I'm glad to be here.
Oh,
Did
okay.
you get that?
All right.
I guess network.
Yes, I just did. I just did.
Okay.
Welcome to today's section, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, would you like to share your screen?
Okay, so this is my cue to start. Yes?
Y- yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Sorry I didn't get that before. All right, so I'll take it from here. Um just for mic testing, can you hear me well? Is there any because I have a fan blowing. I just want to be sure like you're not hearing it's not messing up my voice. It's hot
At all.
here, so I had to switch on the fan. Okay,
Okay.
if you can hear me, that's good. Then, oh, good. We have 49 people. That is packed. That is very good. I see many people have these AI summary writing stuff. That's very interesting. You have note takers everywhere. Yeah. Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Chris Emezue. I'm a Nigerian. In case my voice sounds like Oyibo person. I'm a Nigerian. Um I'm currently based in Canada. Um, I have quite an extensive experience because I I was in a situation where I could have threw myself out there in terms of just trying different things, doing many things, trying doing different things in life, and started from juggling across different continents but at different stages of my my life, and learning different languages, meeting different cultures of people, and also in terms of research, learning. When it comes to research writing, there are the things that you can read online, the things that you can get from the workshops, but there are also the things that no one can tell you. You just learn through the experience of writing many times and failing, writing and not publishing, not writing, writing and not being accepted, writing and being accepted, writing with mentors who are like experienced writers and learning from them. So, you know, the ins and outs of writing, especially the things that you don't get from a blog or from a YouTube video that's telling you how to write. So I am grateful that I have been able to, and I am still I've been able to learn some of these unspoken things about writing that really help to shape the outcome of your writing. It helps to shape a lot of things. It helps to shape your writing in general. It also helps to shape if your writing or your paper is accepted to a conference. So this today's meeting is really like you can imagine me as a kind of not like an OG or something, who's just coming to talk and share his knowledge. Why I'm saying that is because there's not going to be any presentation here. If you're expecting to just sit back and listen to someone talk for 1 hour, that's not happening here. So it's a very, very interactive session. The session will be as interactive as you make it. And the session will also take any direction that you guys want. So yeah, it's a very, very interactive session. I'm just here to sort of share with you based on the questions that you have, the things that you have. I really want this to be very, very interactive. Okay, so with that said, how can you interact? You can reply or talk through the chat. I think the chat might be the most non-intrusive way, because if I tell everyone to mute yourself, then chaos will start. So maybe just using the chat, and if there is need to talk, then maybe I can tell you, okay, please can you talk, and then that is sort of like a permission to unmute yourself and then talk. Yeah, I think that would be good. It also allows me to like read your chats and uh-huh. Said it. Chaos is starting. Please mute yourself, everyone. It also allows me to read the chats and flow with the chats and then answer your questions from there. Okay, so let's get started. Like I said, the direction will go however you want, and it also really just goes in the direction that you want. This is also a chance, if you know, for the past, I think was it 2 or 3? You've had like 2 sessions, 2 really great sessions, if I might add, packed with a lot of information. And maybe personally, you've been wondering, oh, how do I do this? Or I've always wanted to know, how do you do this? Or like, what makes, if you had these personal questions about writing or personal struggles, this is a great chance to share that. And I'm a great person to talk with you about that. Okay. And let's see the fun that we can have till the next 1 hour. First question I have for you all, the title says Fundamental of AI Research Writing. What what does AI research writing mean to you? What does that mean? What comes to mind when you think of AI research writing? What indeed is AI research writing? So again, you can use the chats to answer, and when you answer, I will, or when you express your views, I will also read them out, and I will be talking as you're typing. Is it the fact that you're writing about AI? Oh, okay. When someone says leveraging AI to aid in our research journey, okay. So you're using AI for the research writing? Is that what you mean, Etel? Sorry if I don't pronounce your name well. Apologies. So is it the act of using AI to do your research writing? Okay, that is interesting. That's an interesting perspective. Any other perspectives? Research writing with focus on AI. Okay, yeah, that's jokes. And what does it mean to focus on AI? AI is so broad. AI is so vague. Anything. What the line or the boundary between what is AI and what is not AI is very, very blurred. So it's also an interesting question. Like, how do you know when your work focuses on AI and when it doesn't? Using AI tools responsibly in one's research writing. Okay, I see a lot of using AI to write. Even I am now confused. Is that the topic of AI research writing? Okay, but it's interesting to see that, to see the different perspectives that come to mind when you have this word called AI research. You see, there's two main Yeah, I see. Good. There's two main There's two main. What's it called? There's two main school of thoughts that I'm seeing here. So one of them says using AI to do your research writing, and the other one says writing about topics related to AI. So this is interesting because it's three words and it has these two different meanings when people look at it. Okay, now I wouldn't say right or wrong, but what I will say is that for this conversation, we're going to be talking about the second category, which is writing about things related to AI. Of course, writing about things related to AI and generally this whole workshop that you have will also include topics around how do you responsibly use AI to write. But I will focus more on writing about things related to AI. So like Chuk said, Obina, and Victor. So it's about topics centered on AI. That's the conversation this time. Okay. Okay. And then that brings the next question: what is AI? How do you know when your work is centered around AI and when it's not? Mm, we won't go too much into that because that's a very. I also probably imagine you already know that with the two preceding discussion sessions that you've had. It's probably been enough to paint some picture about what is AI and how do you know when what you're doing is around AI or not. So the next thing I want to go into, what platform do you use when you're writing? Is it a Google, is it a Word document? Do you write in Word? Do you write in latex? Some people write in latex or latex. What platforms do you use? Yeah, Chooks is right. AI is broad. Yes, it's very broad. It encompasses NLP, ML. It also encompasses non-ML things. So things that don't even have to do with machine learning, but have some kind of learning, that AI also encompasses that. Okay, we have a lot of word. Okay, okay. We have a lot of word documents. Is there anyone who uses a somewhat different platform? Okay, we have a latex via overleaf. Okay. And by the way, latex is not the latex condom. It's a platform for writing. Okay, some people are hearing for the first time. So latex it's actually very important. It's actually a very, very useful thing. The only problem is that it has a learning curve. So it's like learning to write. Oh shit, I forgot the session is being recorded and I'm saying latex condom. Anyway, we'll be good. We'll be fine. So latex is like learning to write um it's like learning to write in HTML, like HTML code. So HTML is pretty basic, right? It's not like Python or PHP or something. So, okay, yeah, but still, it's a bit difficult. That's true. So it's pretty basic, but it has a learning curve. So that's the idea. So LaTeX has a learning curve, but once you learn it, it's amazing. So I don't know if you've ever opened a paper and you're like, wow, I like the style of the text, or like the way the pictures are aligned well, or the references are well written. I could never do this with Word. you know if you see a PDF like that, most times it's LaTeX, because LaTeX allows you to do so much more in terms of the formatting of the writing. Okay. Okay, and sometimes we have Notion. Okay, so we all use quite different platforms. That is good. And yeah, I think I want, if you ask me what do I recommend, I mean, so when I first started writing, I think I was using Word or something. And then I think during my undergraduate, I got introduced to LaTeX. I hated it. Like, I was like, what the hell is this? Because anytime I write one tiny thing, like there's an error compiling, I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. But when I finally forced myself to like learn and use the LaTeX, I'm not going back. So for research writing, it's a lot of LaTeX. Um, for research writing in the AI field, you're going to see a lot of latex. So I don't know if you have ever, uh, okay, let's go to another topic. What venues do you know of? What AI conference venues do you know of? So I'm not asking that you've published to, but just do you know of? Maybe even you know of them, you've been wanting to publish, you haven't yet, or and you have published. What venues are you aware of? If you're also aware of none of them, just let me know. If you're also aware of something but you're not sure if it's AI, just still say it out there. Doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah, we have ICML. Yes, that is one. ICML is I mean, you don't really want to know the full meaning, but it's a very, it's a prestigious conference. It's a prestigious venue, and there's a lot of papers around like machine learning from different angles. So that's good. NeurIPS, yeah, I think NeurIPS is by far the most prestigious. Someone can tell me if, also, please tell me if I'm wrong or right. Just because I said experience doesn't mean I know everything, please. So um, please feel free to argue with me. It's welcomed. ACM, yes, ACM, yeah. ICL, CVPR, yeah. So CVPR is, I believe, mostly for computer vision. So if you're writing things around computer vision, CVPR is good. LREC, calling, these are very good. So LREC and calling are good, especially, so like I told you that NeurIPS and ICML and ICLR as prestigious. Part of this prestigious, this Oyubo prestige. So it's like, Oyubo prestige is like if you're coming from the global south and you're not writing the way they want, or if you're not, I don't know, innovating something that is completely, I don't know, new or something. I'm also being a bit melodramatic here. So if you're not doing some kind of innovation in a certain style that they want, then many times they will not accept your work. What I have learned from my years of writing and failing and succeeding is that just because a conference does not accept your paper doesn't mean that your paper or your idea is worthless. So that is a very, very, very powerful thing to always remember. It's easy to say it now, it's hard when the thing really hits you. When you get that rejection, we're sorry, unfortunately, blah, 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 and they never tell you why they rejected it. It really hits hard. It makes you feel like, oh my God, I didn't do well, blah, 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 I'm a failure. But it's very important to remember that just because the paper was not accepted to a particular conference doesn't mean that the paper and the ideas are worthless. The paper and ideas they still mean something. It's just not the right venue for it. So I learned a lot about finding the right venue for your idea and the kind of things you're doing in your paper. It's important. And sometimes you find the right venue by trying and failing. So it's not like there's a blueprint. Sometimes you just try. Okay, I didn't get accepted here. I try again. So yeah, I learned a lot of that by just trying. So you write a paper, you do experiments, you write a paper, you submit to this venue. Oops, it's not accepted, it's rejected. Okay, what's the next venue? We cry and everything. What's the next venue? Okay, this one, we submit. Oh, rejected, you submit. So that's kind of how you, and then over time, oh, okay, so if I'm doing something like this, then I should aim for this kind of thing. If I'm doing something like this, aim for this kind of thing. But overall, the most important thing is if your paper gets rejected somewhere, try again. There are so many conference venues. There are so many places to share your work. I mean, the whole idea of a conference is to share the work, get it, and nowadays, so, some of you might also be quite elderly. So I'm pretty young person in the sense that the experience of conference in the past has changed dramatically. So the way conferences are right now is not what it used to be in the past. I don't know. I won't talk more about the past, but I'll talk about what it is right now. So right now, AI conferences, so these conference venues that you mentioned, and yeah, Maikai fits there, Itel. And yeah, you're not the only one, Abasiama. These abbreviations are just they never end. So we just call them abbreviations, and we don't even try to really. I mean, you can try to understand the full meaning. So if you search on Google, you will see the full meaning, but don't try to cram that. Just we stick to abbreviations. Um, yeah. So AI conferences in our current age, because AI is one of the fastest evolving landscape. Like I kid you not, every day there's like 5 or 6 new papers and ideas out there. So the state of AI last month is not the state of AI this month. There's always something coming out. It's either a new model from OpenAI or from Google or from Fair or from Cohere or something, some new algorithm from, what's this, DeepSeek or from Hugging Face or from or some new research idea from Mila. Mila is where I do my research. They have like 50 papers for each of these conferences because they're a large organization with so many profs, or universities with papers. So the fact is, like, there's so much out there now. It's kind of like social media. There's so much content out there, so many things out there, and it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to for the little things that we do to sort of gain traction. And usually conferences now, they are venues to usually right now it's really about sharing about your work. So perhaps in the past it was okay to say, perhaps in the past it was okay to I write my paper, I submit to journal of something something something, it's accepted, chicken, I'm done. I go and I'm done. But because of if you're writing about something that has anything in any way to do with AI, because of so much noise and so many things out there, it's not enough to just do that, especially if you want your work to be known, to have some impact. What you want to do is you write and you share with the world. So it's like you're advertising your paper in some way. Remember when Davido released the album, the one with Unavailable, and he was like, I'm gonna hawk it, right? I'm not gonna just keep quiet, I'm gonna like hawk it and share. And so it's kind of like that with research now, especially in AI, in the sense that it's not enough to just write. I mean, if you want to write and publish, and that's fine, that's okay. But I've seen that if you want like some conversations around your work, if you want to get it to different people, you want to like share about the work. You want to sort of like advertise it in some way. And you can advertise it with social media. So social media now, especially, and by social media I mean academic social media. So you have Twitter, I think LinkedIn, and I guess the other ones, Facebook and the rest. I have even seen some work on Instagram. So you do a lot of social media now. So social media has really fused a lot with academic in the sense that you write something and you put it on Twitter. Oh, our paper, this, and that's why preprints are very useful, like Archive and other preprints. Because preprints are like you don't have to wait for your paper to be published somewhere before you share it with the world. So preprints kind of really just took over the internet and took over academic writing. So it's like I've written something, I don't have to wait for 6-10 months before it to be published. I just put it on a preprint. And so the whole idea of preprint is helping you to share your work faster with people, because conventionally you have to wait for like 6-8 months, right, for the reviewers to review your work, criticize it, and then accept it, and then it gets published in the journal or somewhere. But that's not the field anymore. That's not the game we're playing now anymore. Because if you do that, or more, you wait for thy kingdom come, and you'll just be at the, should I say, the back of things happening. Your work doesn't even get like impact if it's on a journal. It's not by being in a journal that gets impact. No one No one goes to journals and starts trying to find works anymore. No. So you have to really think about, my whole point here is you have to think about how do you let people know about your work. It's very important because there's so much buzz going on right now. You need to take the extra step of letting people know. And so you can do that through social media. And that is the second usefulness of conferences. So conferences nowadays are really just a platform to let people know about your research. This is where I was coming to with all my whole talk about advertisement. So conferences play a second major role besides publishing your work, which they do sometimes. They let people know about your work because when your work gets accepted to a conference, then you go to the conference and you present your work like a poster or something, and people are passing by and, hey, what are you doing? And then you're talking. So you're letting people know about your work. That's a very fundamental reason for conference. And you can now understand that you may see that if a conference is a place to let people know about your work, then it really doesn't matter so much which like, whether it's NeurIPS or whether it's Maikai, as long as you're able to go somewhere and let people know, right? You also have social media, so you're also letting other people know. So the reason why I'm saying this is these conferences you all mentioned, a lot of them are prestigious, a lot of them are somewhat biased to a certain demographic of people or a style of writing or a style of ideas. And I have seen a lot of young researchers get disappointed, or inferiority complex, like, oh no, I'm not like that. You might go to conferences where you're the only black person or something. I've had some experience like that. So the point I'm trying to make here is that it doesn't the prestige and not doesn't really matter if you're really thinking about just letting people know about my work. Okay. Again, one sentence. Just because your work doesn't get accepted or gets rejected doesn't mean that your idea is worthless. If anything, it just means that it's the wrong venue and you try again with another venue. Okay, so that's one takeaway from this long speech that I have given. There are other conferences that cater to, like LREC calling. These are conferences that if you're doing something maybe around the low resource language, so like if you're writing a small paper where you created a small data set for your language because you don't want your language, you want your language to be digitally recognized. If you write such a paper, NeurIPS might not be the best venue for that. I mean NeurIPS conference, because one thing I didn't say is that conferences now have workshops, and the whole idea of workshops is to reduce the barrier to entry. So, and also to focus on specific themes. So you could have a conference like NeurIPS, and then NeurIPS has like 20 workshops, and the workshops are doing different things, like a workshop on data sets, a workshop on evaluation, a workshops on fairness. So many different themes, and maybe your paper may not, your data set paper may not be good for a NeurIPS conference, but it could be good for a data set workshop or a Black in AI workshop of the NeurIPS conference. So, and when your paper gets accepted to the workshop, you have a chance to go to the conference and meet people in the conference. So I tell a lot of early stage researchers, target work. No, not, I'm using the wrong word here. I tell a lot of early stage researchers, if your work doesn't get accepted to conferences, it's very, very much okay for a workshop, especially because from the angle of getting to meet people and tell people about your work, that is okay. Some of you might be looking at promotions and stuff that might require certain requirements, or maybe like you should have X amount of conference papers. So from that angle, I won't talk about that. But from the angle of, I have a paper and I want people to know about it and I want to tell people about it, it doesn't really matter whether it's a conference or a workshop. It just matters that you're getting in and you have the chance to tell people. Okay, I don't know if I said this, but you can always ask questions about different things. Remember, the direction can go in any way that you want. Okay, Christopher says, after publishing my work, can I submit my abstract to conferences again? That's a good question. That depends on that depends on that depends on some factors. So generally, yeah, I could generally might be a wrong word here. Um, generally might be a wrong word, so you don't take it as the main thing. Let me try. Can I? Think I need to zoom in here. So I'm trying to answer your question, Christopher. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, and then I can try and share something here. Okay, so yeah, I'll be using this whiteboard as a way to just talk. Okay, so to answer your question, Christopher, it brings us to another topic, which is archival. So when we're talking of conferences, AI conferences, and please, we're talking of AI conferences because many of you come from different fields and your understanding of conferences might be different in those fields. So when I'm saying conference, workshop, I'm really talking about AI. Okay. So because of everything I said about like AI is there's a lot of things happening in AI. It's all about trying to get your work out there as quickly as possible. Conferences now sometimes do this thing where a conference can say a conference or a workshop can say, okay, we just want we just want to give you the space to talk to share your work with people, but we're not going to publish your work. So that's the meaning of this word archival. So if the conference is going to publish, they are archival. If the conference is not going to publish, they are non-archival. So they're not publishing your work. So as long as your work is not published, you can submit it to any place to publish. But once your work has been published somewhere, you cannot have it published in another place. But you can submit it to another place if they won't publish it. Okay, this might be a lot to take in, so please go back and listen to the recording and then play this part again because it's very important, like an important game. Why is it important? Because it allows you to, I like Christopher's question because it's about, if the game is how do I get to talk about my work in as many places as possible, then yes, you want to like submit it to different venues because it's a chance to talk about your work. So there's the Indaba happening in August. You want to submit it to Indaba. There is Africa NLP. You want to submit it there. There is EMNLP. You want to try there. So you want to get it as many venues as possible. Also put it on archive so you can share on LinkedIn and Twitter, right? So this is an important thing to understand between published and non-published. So there are many places that don't publish. They just give you the space to talk about your work. As long as your work is published, you cannot publish it again. So you cannot publish in ICML and publish in EMNLP. See, you cannot do that. You cannot publish here, publish there. But you can publish here and then do as many times of this. Okay, as many times of this. So send it to many conferences that do not publish, right? I hope let me color code it a little bit so it makes sense. You can publish one place and send it to many venues that don't publish. Okay, this is an interesting trick to know because it allows you to send your work to as many places as possible and get to talk about your work to as many different people, which is very, very important. It's very, very important. So for me, right now, at the stage I'm in, writing papers is really about how do I get people to know about the work we are doing. I do a work and I want people to know about it. So I want to get it as much attention as I can give it. It's super important. It's so important that even companies, Google and Meta, they play this game and this trick. Research labs play this, call it a game, whatever you want, but they do this because they understand the importance of getting your work out there for people to know. about. Okay, so the reason why I'm saying this is, let's say you publish your work somewhere, so it's archival, and you want to submit your work somewhere else. So you now need to ask them, hey guys, I hope you are non-archival. And if you forget the word non-archival, just say, I hope you guys are not going to publish my work. So it's good to ask them, because sometimes some conferences will say, okay, yes, we don't publish any work. But then sometimes maybe I should stop using conference to use venue, because the venue is not just a conference. So like the Indaba, I don't know if you know about, so I think there's the call for African data sets at the Indaba now. So I don't know if they're still on, but if you are, if you have any tiny data set or thing that you did, this is a very, very good place to go. There's also Indaba is also a very, very good venue. The deadline was when again? Deadline. Please don't close. I think they extended it though, just something to check. And so Indaba is a very good venue. It's a place to share about the work that you've done. So I'm using the word venue because some of them are not, the places to share your work are not always conferences. There are conferences, there are workshops, there are Indabas. There's also the DSA Africa that's happening in Ibadan. I don't know if you guys know about it. So that's also another place. LyngualLabs is also another place, right? It's like, hey, LyngualLabs, I did this work. What do you guys think? With the whole community of people, you guys like sharing your works among yourself. So venue is probably the right word to use here. So it's very important to understand this idea, because if you have your work published somewhere in a venue, then other venues that you want to submit your work to, you can just ensure that these other venues will not publish your work. Does that answer your question, Christopher? And while you're telling us, Itel, yeah, Itel says, for conference presenting, is it only the first author who goes there, or maybe the whole team? Itel, as many people can go there as they can afford. So the first author and the whole team can go as long as the team can afford it, right? So it's about having the money to book the flights, right? For the flights and accommodation. So if and also the register, sometimes the conferences have registration fees, so you have to register. So the whole team can go as long as they have the money. I think for conferences, I'm not so sure. I think they grant the registration fee waiver for one author for one author. Yeah, but if you like, my simple answer to your question, Ital, is it's all about the money. If you have the money to sponsor everyone, pay for the conference registration, pay for travel, pay for accommodation, all of you can go. Okay, can you help send link? Okay, I cannot send links right now. It's not in this meeting, but Lingual Labs could probably help with that, and this whole community and what that you guys on WhatsApp could also help with that. And you also have people like Babantunde Aurora sending some links, so that's good. If your work has been published, you need to remove it from archive. I don't know what you mean by archive. So, you're talking about this archival thing? I don't know. Maybe could you elaborate, Obina? What if you send to many places and they publish it more than one? So yeah, that is not good. If you send it, so if you do this, let me do like this. So if you do this, wait, what did I do now? Uh-huh. Okay. So if now, wow, have fun now. Uh-huh. If you do this, right? So like you send it to many places and they are all archival, which means they are all publishing it. And this is bad, like this is really bad. Do you know why it's bad? It's bad because, so let's say you've published it in, let's say you've published it here, like some journal or something. Okay. Now, if you want to, where's my drawing? Yo, wow. Okay. So let's say you've published it here. If you want to now go and publish it here, because it's already published here, it becomes plagiarism, because the work you're publishing is not unique. It already exists, published somewhere else. So if you're going to publish somewhere else again, it's plagiarism. It's your work is no longer unique. But if you've published here, you can send here because you're not publishing it here. So you can send here, you can send here, it's good, you can send here. As long as you're not publishing it again. That's the meaning of the non-archival. No, you're not, so you can send to many places that are not publishing, as long as you've published somewhere already. Okay, yeah, preprint. So you said you meant previous. Do you need to remove? No, you don't need to remove it from preprint. You shouldn't need to remove it. Um, and so Chuk says before sending to another publisher, you must wait. No, it depends. So first of all, you cannot do this. You cannot send to. You cannot publish in more than one place. Remember, publishing is different from. Yeah, it's true. I didn't explain what publishing meant because I assumed that you understood. Sorry about that. Yes, publishing in AI conferences is a little bit tricky. Oof. How much time do we have again? Is it 1 hour or 2 hours? Oh, great, 2 hours. Okay, awesome. So I have time to go into the other things. Okay. This is a good thing. Let's go into what I mean by publishing because I just realized it's very, very important. Um, yes. Yeah, I'll answer your question, Musa. Let me explain a little bit about publishing. Um, or maybe does anyone? I see we have some experienced researchers over there. Does anyone want to take it up? Anyone wants to give it a go? Let me try. Maybe if anyone wants to give it a go, you can also do that in the chat. So yeah, I need to explain what I mean by archival because I'm making a mistake by thinking that we all understand it. So um how do I explain that? I'm trying to find the best way to explain that. Best way, also simple way. Okay, give me a paper. Is there any paper you know that's an archive? Okay, let's take this one, Eroyan speech. Okay, if you can see my screen, this is Eroyan speech. Some of you are Yoruba here, so you probably resonate with this. So this is a paper. This is a paper by these authors, and it's doing some really lovely stuff. Okay, so let me try to explain what I mean by publishing. Now, this paper was, so you see the comment, accepted to LREC. So this paper was accepted. Okay. Um, So this paper was accepted. So the word accepted is very, very important. It didn't say published, it said accepted, right? So now we have to see, let's do some little bit research. So LREC 2024 has passed, so there would be proceedings. There will be proceedings. Proceedings. So LREC it should be an archival conference. So there will be proceedings. Where the proceedings going now? Proceedings. Okay, let's just see proceedings of Alrec. Okay, okay. See, this one's a proceed. I'm trying to find who is their publisher. I'm trying to find who is their publisher. It seems they. Okay, from there, okay. It seems they have a. Who is the publisher? Publisher. Publisher. Okay, see the full proceedings volume. So this is going to be the full journal. Yes, this is the full one. Language conference proceedings. Okay, yes. Okay, with ISBN. Okay, good. Okay, I think this is yes, I think this is their publisher. Okay, so some of you are familiar with, especially in Nigeria, you might be familiar with journals. Maybe familiar with the word journal, maybe familiar with the word proceedings. What else? What other words are you familiar with? When we say, or when I say published, I mean, um, okay, so let me try and do something here. So the way it works with many AI conferences, remember, we're talking of AI conferences. like I said, it could be a different experience if you're coming from another conference. So you you submit your paper to a conference, okay, and then your conference your conference can say, um, any paper we accept, we will finally put it in a journal or put it in proceedings. Okay. If your conference does this, so if they so this is the publish I'm talking about, where they put your paper in a journal or they publish it to a journal or to a proceedings. And it looks like this, it's a lot of pages, and it has ISBN, and it has to. If you're familiar with journals, and many of you Nigeria faculty, I can see some of you here, or your students, you're probably familiar with something like this, like a journal, a journal. So if a conference says that they will do this, they will put it in some journal. It doesn't matter the journel. It could be Elsevier or Kafanchan. It doesn't matter. But if they're going to publish your work in a journal or in a proceedings, that is what I mean by archival. That's the meaning of archival. Does that make sense? Or you have questions? Okay. At the same time, some conferences will say, submit to us. If your work gets accepted, we're just going to put it online somewhere. We're just going to put it online. Okay? We're just going to put it online. That's all. Now, notice that in this case, they're not publishing it to a journal. No, they're not. They're just putting it online. So the distinction I want to make here is putting something online does not count as publishing. Okay, so when I'm saying publish, it's not putting online. Publish is when it's put in a journal. So, okay. So if the venues, again, I'm making the same mistake I said I shouldn't make. Venue, because it's not just conferences. So when I say venue, I mean conference, workshops, anything. So if the venue says, give us a paper and we're just going to put it online, then that is, where's that, my friend that had this one? That is non-archival. Okay? So this is a distinction between archival, non-archival. Any questions here? Okay. Most conferences are archival. So ICML, ICLR, IC whatever, ICW, all of them archival. LREC, archival. And usually how you know that they're archival is like I'm showing, like I just did now, right? Most times after the conference is done, they put everything in this conference proceedings and they release it somewhere. It's like this, they publish it somewhere. Sometimes they even publish with Springer and Elsevier. Some of you are familiar with those major publishers. Sometimes they publish there. So many conferences are archival, but workshops, sometimes some workshops are not archival. And sometimes some workshops could decide to be archival. So sometimes it's also tricky. So that's why it's very important to understand this if you're planning to submit your work in different places. Remember, this is important for you if you want to submit your work in different places. If you don't want to, don't worry about this. You don't have to stress your mind about what's this guy saying, archival, non-archival. It doesn't matter. Okay, so if you're okay with just, okay, you submit your work to maybe Africa NLP or somewhere, put it on Twitter and LinkedIn, and that's enough for you, then you don't need to worry about all these things I'm saying. I had to learn these things because me and my friend back then, Bona, when we're very young researchers and we're very ambitious and we wanted to do things. So we also wanted to talk about our work. So when we do a little paper, like some translation project, we wanted to share it with NLP and this and this and that. So I remember we tried to do this twice, and they told us they nearly, like, this is illegal, basically. Like they won't even allow this. So if you publish somewhere and you want to publish. So again, when I say publish, this is what I'm talking about, okay? If you publish somewhere, you want to publish somewhere else, this place that you want to publish, this place that you want to publish will tell you no. They tell you no because your work is already published somewhere. So we try to do this, and that's how I had to learn this thing that I'm teaching you guys now. But if you just, it goes without, I want to also add, if you publish somewhere, if you've published here, oops, sorry, if you've published here and you want to go here, they will tell you yes, even though it's wait though. Okay, yeah, it depends, right? They could tell you, I mean, they shouldn't tell you no. They shouldn't tell you no here because it's non-archival. And that should answer your question, Obina. Obina says, must your work always be novel, like unique, or can you work on existing research and do something different? The short answer is yes. Yes, you can do something from existing research. Yeah. Okay. See, let's go the questions back up. Musa, do you think you now have the answer to your question? I want to like see what you think based on all this thing I've been saying. Musa, your question is it allowed to submit to more than one journal? Waiting for Musa. Okay, I want to believe the answer is yes from Musa. I'll be waiting for that. Uh, Feel free to reach out to me about this again, or we can have this as a different. I say, we can talk more about this. That's totally fine. And now, Busolami's question takes us to the next thing I wanted to talk about, and I think I'm happy we have 1 hour for it. Okay. Yeah, this is good. Okay. So let's go into the next chapter. The next chapter is, now you know about conferences and venues and the power of the importance of sharing your work and sharing your work with as many people as possible. How do you start writing? Like, I want to start the actual writing. What do I do? So I have a question for you guys. What's the first thing you start with when you want to start writing? What's the first thing you start to do when you want to write? Okay, Chuk says topic. Okay. Okay, conceive idea. Okay. Okay. Mind you, conceive idea, when I say start writing, wait though, it's a good thing to also remember. Yeah, there's a good wait, there's something I think, yeah, there's something that I think needs to be explained here, like a kind of a workflow. So when you're doing AI, when you're working on an AI project for my field, there's a kind of a workflow. I think there's a kind of a workflow. Okay, so I'm going to show you my workflow. Okay, I'm not saying this is the workflow to use and any other workflow you use is bad. I'm just sharing my workflow, and you can feel free to. Oh, thanks, Victor. It's good. Thank you for that. You can feel free to, you could use it or not use it. So usually you start with the idea, like, oh, I have an idea. I want to build a data set or do this or do this or do that, or I want to do an experiment, blah, 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 blah. You do the idea, you conceive the idea, then you try to, okay, let me use a better English. You try to work on the idea, right? So if you want to like build a build a translation something for your language, you try to like, okay, let me start building the translation thing. I have to find data sets. I find data sets. You probably need a team here, so you probably get a team to work with you here. So you work with a team. Maybe you try to train models. So you do the idea. You get some results. So you get some results. Oh, okay, my idea works, or my idea doesn't work, or oh, we've seen this. So you get some results, and so this is like, you can call this, you can see all this as the like implementation stage, right, where you're like implementing some idea that you have, and then it's after doing all that. So it's like, oh, I have an idea. I had an idea. I did the idea. I got some results, and I'm ready to share with the world, right? So share my idea. No, share my no share my idea plus results, right? Because you cannot just share idea. You know, someone even told me like idea is not. A lawyer who is speaking out of turn will tell you like idea is nothing. So the I of course it's not so correct and it's a bit rude, but the point is that just having an idea is not enough. You need to do something with the idea. So that's where this part. So this is where this is where the major work comes in, right? Because you have to work on that idea. Just having the idea is not. I'm trying to find a good color for this. Good. Just having an idea is not enough. So this is a very important place. Work on the idea, get results. This is very important. Okay. And then you want to share the idea with the world. So this is where you start. This is where paper writing comes in. Okay. At the point where you want to share. So the whole idea of paper writing is sharing your idea with the world. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is I want to show you that paper writing is not what you do when you have an idea. You don't have an idea and then start writing the paper, right? Like your paper can, okay, maybe I'm wrong, but I'll just say this and then I'll say the exception. Your paper cannot only be just about the idea. Of course, there's some exceptions. Um, so your paper cannot just be about, oh, I have an idea, blah, blah, blah. Your paper also needs to include some of the work you did on your idea, right? So you need to do this. This is very important. You may do some work and not have results, so it's fine. But you need to do some work on your idea. You can all agree with me, right? So your paper includes the idea plus some work you did. And if you have results that you want to share, of course, go ahead. If you don't have results, that's fine. But my point is, you have to work on your idea. Your paper it's not just the idea. It's working it's a combination of the idea you have plus working on the idea, and then you're trying. And the goal of paper writing is not about doing the idea. Paper writing is about sharing the idea and results with the world. So like, I guess a better way of saying it is sharing what you've done with the world. So that could be a better way of phrasing it. So paper writing is about sharing what you've done with the world. Okay, so it's good to remember. It's good to understand this workflow. It's a flow, right? So you go from here to here, then this, and then this, or maybe this. So okay. So the reason why I'm saying this is, someone said, I said, what's the first thing you do when you want to write a paper? So here, when you are here now, so here means you've done this, right? You've done this, and now you're here. Okay. So here is not where you conceive the idea. Okay. Here is not where you start thinking about the idea. No. Right. The expectation is that you have already conceived the idea and worked on the idea, and then you're sharing the idea with the world in the form of the paper. Okay. So again, I will ask, now that you are here, what's the first thing you do when you want to start writing the paper? I think maybe with this primer, people will be better suited to answer. Yeah, go ahead with your question. Yes, Shadrach, read related works. Yep, that's a good thing, right? And why I mean, of course, I think I could say of course, but natu- German. Naturally, yeah, that's a better way. Naturally, while working on your idea, right, you've already tried to see what people have done before, right? So, um, like this. Okay, Itel says, what if you implemented your idea and you found out that what you did was already implemented 10 years ago? Okay, so I would say two things, like I was telling Shadrach, right? Um, so here you're doing related works. And I think naturally, while working on your idea, you might already try to see what people have done before. So the related works that you're doing here also feeds into this, right? So it feeds into the work you've done before and trying to see what exists out there. Ethel, to answer your question directly, if you've done your work and you find out it was implemented, nothing stops you from still sharing your work, right? Remember, paper is sharing what you've done with the world. Okay, so it's very important. I've done something and I want to share that thing with the world. So it doesn't matter if someone did it 10 years ago. It doesn't even matter if what I am sharing, someone did it yesterday. As long as it's like I want to share what I have done. Maybe this thing I've done, it's important for some reason. Yes. So I would say it doesn't matter. However, if you want to do this, archival, you have to prove or somehow show that you have to distinguish what you've done with what the other person have done, especially if it's archival. If it's non-archival, which means this, right, we just want to share it with those, put it somewhere, then it may not matter, you're just putting your work out there. But if it's archival, this archival is usually where the idea of novelty becomes important, right? Because you're archiving it and publishing it as like, this is where novelty becomes a little bit important. But here it's not. Here it's more about sharing what you've done with the world. Okay. Okay, so we have topics title. Okay, what else? What's the first thing you do when you're here and you want to start writing your paper? Please, please, please share as much as you can quickly, quickly. Topic title, what else? What else? And there has to be more. Some of you have probably written lots of papers already. Some of you might want to be writing. So, like, what comes to your mind when you want to start doing that? Topic is a good idea. It's just like, okay, what's the topic for this? That's nice. Sometimes I think of topic as a last thing. This is just me. I'm not saying this is how it should be done. Sometimes topic for me comes last. What I mean by last is means like I have the whole paper ready, and then I say, okay, what's a good title for this? Sometimes for me, sometimes it takes me time to sometimes it takes me time to agree on the topic. So even if I have a topic, I will still be thinking more about the topic as I'm writing the paper. So if new ideas come to me, then it's I always use that. Topic is a very important thing because it's also one way to like distinguish your work. Okay, summary, hypothesis formulation, introduction, thinking methodology. I want to also imagine that you're also keen into the last session you had because I'm sure the speaker talked about aspects of this. But remember, my question is, what's the first thing, right? So I'm not saying what's the things you do. I said, what's the first thing you think about or you try to do? So I'm talking just the first thing here. Introduction, okay, methodology. Okay, okay. These are all good. These are all good. Now, with the little time I have, I'm going to tell you something. It's very simple, very short, but if you follow this, it would tremendously change your life. So when I was young, my mother is a professor of English, and when I was young, she was an English person, so she really taught me a lot about writing. I hated writing when I was young, by the way. I hated writing. Still not really a fan of writing now, but so And you might also know this, and all of you are you've in high school or universities too, you've had to write, right? You've had to write a project thesis in university or a project proposal. For faculty members here, you probably had to write for grants or write a paper for different reasons. But if you remember back then in high school, you also had to like, they gave you these essays, English essays. This is where they're like the most annoying, because they were like give you like 2 essays to write over the weekend. Write an essay to this date, or write a debate about why something something something, or write a letter to your friend. These tiny things to write that were just really tiny. And when I would come back home, I wouldn't know where to start, right? Because it's like, where do I start? And I would always rush. So what I would do is I would always rush and start writing on the paper. So like, dear Nkechi, then I would think, what's the next thing? How are you? And how is your mother? And then 10 minutes in, I'm like, oh boy, I've even forgotten what the aim of this letter is. Or I write the whole letter and I'm saying, oh, I actually should have talked about this part, right? So I always had this issue where I would rush in first to start writing, and I would always have issues. Then as I grew up, I started taking exams where you have to write on the fly. So if you've ever taken exams like IELTS or TOEFL or SAT, or even your normal exams, and where you have to write something and you have the pressure of time, that is very, very it's very, very important how you write there, because you have time. 30 minutes, write me this. So you don't have all the time to write and correct. You have to just write once, and you have to write correctly. So my mom and other people taught me something that's very, very powerful. A lot of people don't do, especially when they are pressured by time. But doing that and learning the habit of doing that will considerably help you, save you a lot of time, and help you become a better researcher. And I think I could, end my discussion there. And it's a very, very simple thing, and you've probably already seen it here. It's this guy, outline. So it's the unbelievable effectiveness of an outline. This thing has, like, I won't lie to you, it has saved my life, and and it has helped me become a better researcher. What is an outline? So an outline, the idea of the outline, which is the idea that my mom taught me, which I had to, first I was grudgingly using it because I didn't like it. And no one likes it, but I had to learn that when you learn it, it becomes a habit, it becomes part and parcel of you, and it helps you, especially when you are pressured. An outline is, so usually when we want to write, we tend to jump into the writing. It's like, oh, no. So some of you said word, right? I asked you, where do you write? You said word. Now, if you want to write, what some of you would do, if you're using word, is like, you jump into the writing. So you open a document like this and you want to start writing. Okay, what's my topic? Okay, let's say topic, machine translation for for Nupe language. Okay, I'm done with the topic. Nice. Okay, let's broaden it here because I don't know what else I'm doing with my time. Okay, now what? Mr. Christopher said introduction. Let me do, what do I say here now? Oh boy, I don't know. So, and there's also this thing where you're staring at the blank screen. It also adds more pressure to you because it's like blank, and you're like, man, I want this to be filled with text, but it's blank. Where do I start? What do I even start writing in introduction? Okay, now this, and then, oh, okay, last week the speaker said we should have methodology, and then we should do related. I forgot, let me add related works. I almost forgot about that. Who is doing related works? Okay, Nkechi built one yesterday. Who else? Oh, but how do I write this? Okay, let me try ChatGPT help me with the related works. ChatGPT will say blah 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 and give you rubbish, and you copy and paste. So it's about, I want to just get some text here. Okay, now what's the problem here? You're doing, you're using the right sections and stuff. And the problem is not even with ChatGPT. The problem here is that you've jumped into the writing without planning. So the power of an outline is the power of planning what you're going to write. So it's about the planning. That's a very, very important thing. So that's just what I want to say here. And if you remember two things from what my whole talk today, the first talk is, okay, I don't know how many things you remember, but it's very important to share what you've done with the world. And then the second one is when you're writing, always start with the planning, with an outline. So planning, outline is what is like, is the writing of your plan. It's like, so let me show you what I mean. So let's go here, let's change it up. So again, remember, we're assuming this. So you've had an idea, you've worked on the idea, maybe you've got some results, and now you're sharing. So when I'm here, what I usually do, which I had to learn how to do over time, is I start first with outline. So this is what I do. I even call it outline. So I don't even, I remove these. Okay, you can keep this. So you can put like a topic. So it's sure that clear that you're just working on a topic. And then I remove this and I preface it. I mean, it's not even remove. You can actually just copy and paste, right? But the idea is you're starting with an outline, which means you're telling your mind that, okay, I want to start by planning what I'm going to write about. So you're not saying, I want to start by writing. No, I want to start by planning what I'm going to write about. This part takes time, especially when you start doing it the first few times, it takes more time. Like imagine this, if you have like 1 hour to write, maybe you say 1 hour for this writing and then I have to go do something else. You could spend 40 minutes here and just 20 minutes on the writing. And I know many people have told me, Chris, you're wasting time. Why are we doing it? Let's get to writing already. You know, why are we doing this? If I have 2 weeks or 4 weeks, so maybe I'm trying to get a conference deadline. The deadline is in 4 weeks. And I have finished all these things. And I have, okay, yeah, you don't have 4 weeks for writing usually in reality, because you'll be doing all these things. So you'd probably have like maybe 2 weeks here. So if I have 2 weeks here for the writing, okay, I could really spend 1 week just here, or maybe 5 days. And the reason why I'm telling you that this takes time is because you need to be prepared for it. A lot of people, they start this and they feel like they're wasting time doing nothing because they haven't seen, the paper with words yet. So, and I know very well from my experience, when I used to write IELTS and TOEFL, and they say you have, how is it, like 40 minutes or something to write something on the effectiveness of weight loss. You have a very short time. And then imagine telling yourself that you're going to spend 25 minutes here. It's crazy to some people. Like, why waste your time doing this planning when you can start writing immediately? But I kid you not, if you spend 25 minutes out of your 40 minutes on doing this and final, of course, doing this is not a one-time thing, right? You iterate, you iterate, you iterate. If you spend 25 minutes on the planning, I kid you not, that 15 minutes is going to be more than enough time for the actual writing once the planning is done. And your writing is going to be coherent, it's going to be clean, and it's going to make sense. And if you're doing IELTS, you're going to get the highest score. So take it from someone who has been getting the highest scores in writing after getting the lowest scores in writing. So it's a very fundamental aspect of writing that is very, very simple. My mom is an English teacher. Many of you here actually know this, and you've probably been teaching this to your students, and they've been proving strong head and everything. It's a very fundamental thing. As human beings, we don't like to do this, and we don't like to spend a lot of time on this. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because if you practice this and you keep practicing this, you're gonna become used to it, and importantly, it's gonna change your writing. It's going to change the amount of time you spend in writing. It's going to change, like when you write and people read your writing, does it make sense? Does it flow? Is the reader able to understand you? Is there a flow? Is there a story? It's going to change that. And usually things like that also affect whether your paper gets accepted. Okay. So this is not, there's no like, there is no, this is how to do an outline. This is not how to, it's not, it's a completely personal thing. The whole idea of outline is planning. So this ties into what you learned last week and what you learned 2 weeks ago. So there's no like a special outline or what the outline should be or there's nothing like that. The whole thing about this is just plan what you're going to write before you start writing. Like really take time to plan and plan and plan and iterate and iterate. That's the whole idea here. So let's say last week, over the 2 sessions, you learned about, oh, let's do introduction. So you learned, okay, there should be an introduction section. There should be a related work section. There should be what's the other one? Can you tell me? What did you learn? Give it to me. Give it to me. Who's going to be the first? Sections. What sections are important in a research that's around AI? You've learned this over too. Thank you. Methodology. I hope this, like, you understand what they mean, and it's not just the names that you understand. Methodology. Anything else? Results. Good. Conclusion. Yeah. So discussion. So there could be as many as you want. Okay. It could be as many as you want. Yeah. So when the whole idea of the outline and planning is, it's not introduction. So it's like, it's not, oh, I need to start writing about introduction. No, it's about, okay, I need to plan about introduction. So what am I going to talk about in my introduction? Do you see the difference? So let's say you did a project on machine translation for Nupe, where you created a data set and you built a model. Okay. And now you want to start, so you've created, the idea is data set and model, you've created the data set, you built the model, you want to start writing, you have like 1 week to write. So let me give you a practical example of the planning. So it's not introduction, oh, okay, let me start. Nkechi et al. Did, one string, then they start writing my text, or maybe ChatGPT help me and do introduction. It's not to start the writing, it's the planning. So now, the first plan, okay, introduction. What am I going to write about introduction? So what do you think? If you're doing a project, so remember what you did is you created a small data set, Nupe, and trained a machine translation model. Okay, now you want to share about what you've done with the world, and you want to start planning. So what does the planning mean? Planning now means what? So what are you going to talk about in the introduction? So let's do the planning together. What are some of the things you think you can talk about in the introduction? Give me something. So imagine you're going to write this paper and you're planning, what am I going to talk about? What things come to your mind? Let's go. Okay. No. So this is the whole idea of planning. Is thinking about what you're going to talk about. So you could say, I should probably tell them about, okay, problem statement from Shedra. Okay, yeah, okay. So problem, what is the problem I'm trying to solve, right? Okay, I'm trying to solve. What's the problem? So I should have this in introduction. Okay, yeah, I probably should. Yeah. Then you could even go, what is the problem actually? And then okay, what's the next thing I should talk about? Maybe talk about Nupe language. Maybe let them know about Nupe, right? Like, why is Nupe important? Like why is Nupe important? Maybe a number of speakers, maybe, right? Maybe the linguistic structure of Nupe and why it's an interesting language. Okay, so you see how you're like thinking about what you're going to talk about. You've not started talking yet. You're just thinking about it. Definition of key terms. Okay, key terms are one. Yeah, Oyemi says description of the language. Okay, maybe what's the problem I'm trying to solve? Could be like maybe how how Nupe is not represented well or something represented well in machine translation. And so okay, so you see, this is the planning I'm talking about. You see that you're not writing, and how you know you're not writing is that everything you're writing is just bullet points, just short bullet points. Okay. Okay, related works. Ooh, what am I going to write about here? So it's like, what's the plan for my related works? So maybe I should talk about other data sets for Nupe. Okay, right? Related works. Or maybe I should also talk about other research on machine translation for Nupe. Okay, maybe it's a good idea. Then maybe you might come back tomorrow. Or and someone said Nupoid, so other Nupoid language. Maybe you are also including more languages or something. Okay, good. So then maybe maybe you go back, you read another paper. Also, it's important to read lots of papers. So one quick tip I'll give you right now: read papers similar to what you want to write about. So when you are in the stage of writing, one thing that will help you a lot is read as many lots of papers similar to what you want to write about. Why? Why? You ask why. That's a very good question. So in this stage, remember, not here. In this stage, this guy here, it's all about telling your story. Okay? So he's like, I want to tell my story. So when you read papers, when you read examples of people who have done something similar to you and told their story, you are now taking pointers on how to tell your story. So at this stage, you are reading lots of papers to take pointers. So maybe you read one paper and say, this paper actually started by talking about African languages. So they started by talking about lack of representation of African languages in machine translation. And I like that because I want to start with African languages before I then start with Nupe, right? So this is how like you are painting your picture. Like, okay, I want to start with African languages, then I start with, Nupe, right? So same as above, but with Nupe. So it's like, oh, I want to start my story like that, right? If I start with African languages, it helps the reader like understand, this problem is bigger, or it's bigger than just Nupe. It's like the whole African languages, you know. And then you say, oh, okay, this paper that I read also gave some like important points about Nupe, like about their language. So they said, okay, maybe this paper did machine translation for Yoruba, and they said like Yoruba has like 15 million speakers with this, but still does not have representation. So putting that amount of speakers helps the reader to like understand why the language is important. I like that idea. Let me do the same thing. Let me also like bring in the number of speakers for Nupe. So this is the importance of reading lots of similar papers at this stage. You get to see how different people are telling the story, which is similar to what you've told, and it gives you quick pointers on how to tell your story. Okay, and then you're planning, right? You can come back later and say, maybe I should do this or change this, or change my story like this. Maybe I want to start with data sets first and then machine translation. Maybe I want to talk about AI first for Nupe before machine translation. So you see how you see what I mean here? You're planning. You are not writing yet. You are planning. And you can spend days on this. But I tell you, spend as much time as you need for this. This might seem like a waste of time, especially as the time is running out. This might seem like it's not going anywhere, but trust me, this is really very, very useful in shaping your paper. So really spend time with this. If you're working in a team, work with your team on this. And just to show you that I'm not just talking, all talking. So let's take, so I worked on the Niger Voices. Oof, this is going to be, see, I worked on the Niger Voices project. You probably may or may not know about it. but it's the largest African speech data set right now for and also Nigerian languages, 5,000 speakers. And I worked with my team on the paper. I spent a lot of time procrastinating on this paper, I'll be honest. But when I finally pushed my lazy ass to start doing it, the first thing I did was I found, you see what I have here? Similar papers. So I got papers of people who had built data sets and models, because we did models too. And I put them here. Papers I liked, you see, I have them here. I have the links to their, so you see error in speech, indic voices, okay? The next thing I did, the first thing I did was outline. And then you see this abstract, introduction. What's the larger problem we're trying to solve? You see this question, the shortage of data of multilingual speech research. What have others done? Maybe you might not see it. Let me increase that like that. Okay. What have others done before? Maybe it isn't enough. Others have. So you see this, and this, if you look at the, if you look at the version history, see it's iterations of different stages with also input from other co-authors. Related work. What's the larger problem we're trying to solve? The shortage of this. Why is this a repeat though, by the way? Don't remember. How did this get created? So you see, really going to short details. How the data was created? Figure. We should add a figure. So this is, this is iteration. It's like, oh, I didn't add a figure. Now I'm adding a figure. Talk about the steps. Okay, what were the interesting things we tried? Maybe I want to talk about that. So you see what I mean by the outline. Sorry. About the data set, visualizations, because I'm a very visual person, so I like to think about visualizations, tables, graphs, showing statistics, focus on the interesting thing about the paper. I should have added more about the graphs that we're going to talk about here. ASR experiments, even the experiments, we even okay, let's talk about setup, let's talk about this. We forgot to, let's remove this, let's put this here. So this is what I mean. And I don't know how to show this, but this is iteration. So like if you go to previous things, some things are different, like you see here, so I'm just trying to show that these are iterations. So it's not a one-time thing where you just do everything one time. You work on the first version of your outline, you come back and, usually you come back after reading one or two papers with fresh ideas on things to add, how to add. Good. And this is where all your questions come in. So you have questions like, what comes first, research writing or building? This is where you think about the questions, and this is where you answer them. No. Okay. So there really is no there's really no template for the outline. Why? Because the outline is about the planning. It's not about the writing. It's about the planning. Now, for the writing, the template is, I believe, what 2 sessions you had ago. But even if you don't have that 2 sessions ago, or you need more, we can always send you that. No, I think you had that, because some of you also said, you said introduction, related works, methodology. So I believe these were coming from, sessions you've had. So this is a template for the writing, but it's not a template for the planning. So there is no template for planning, because planning is you thinking about what you want to write and how you want to tell your story. So it's how you want to tell the story. And the trick I've given you is at this stage, read papers, because papers are now showing you maybe what you might call templates. Like, okay, this is how we're telling our story. This is how we're telling our story. So papers could be giving you that template of how to tell a story, which you could then use to shape how you want to tell your story. Okay, any questions here? Okay, so, and again, it's an iterative process. It's not, you can also see the Google Docs too with the, you see this interesting thing here. So like about the data set, and then I say, okay, use ideas from section 2 of here. And I'm sure here is like another paper. So, right, let's assume I had read another paper and I liked how they talked about the data set. So I'm telling myself to use the ideas. Maybe here, you see another one. I liked this paper and I said, okay, yeah, this indic voice, I liked the paper. So I read the paper, I liked it. And I said, okay, let's use the workflow idea that they used here. So, and all this is planning. So it's like 1 week of just planning. It's crazy. Like, why would you spend 1 week just planning when you can start writing? But I tell you, This is a very, very important part and necessary part of your story writing. You plan, you change things. Okay, maybe I don't like this introduction. Maybe I want to add this or I want to tweak this. Okay, I'll take questions here. Oh, very good one, Shadrach. When do you think you are okay with outline? That's a good question. Because sometimes we have perfectionist mindset and we want to just keep doing, doing, doing. That's a good question. Um, for me, I think I'm okay with outline when so a paper is a story, and from beginning to the end of the paper, you're telling a story. So when I feel like the story is concrete, like okay, we're not missing out something. The story is concrete. That's one way I know I'm done with the outline. Like when the story is concrete. So like okay, we've talked about the problem, we've talked about our contribution. Okay, I don't feel like we're missing something else. So yeah. Another thing I want to add is sometimes you don't know when you're ready. You have to tell yourself, okay, let me start writing with the outline I have. So that's also totally okay. Sometimes you have to tell yourself, especially if as more time is running out, like, okay, it's time to now start writing with the outline I have, because you can be writing and you can change your outline, right? So you could be writing, you could start writing, and by writing, I mean taking this outline and then actually writing words to it. And you can use different methods. You can write, you can read other papers, you can use AI, whatever. You can start writing and then say, okay, I want to change my outline. So also sometimes with me, it's when the deadline is fast approaching. So if it's IELTS, for example, and I'm like, okay, 30 minutes, I have just 10 minutes, I have to start writing. So I start writing. Or if it's a conference, okay, deadline is fast approaching. Also, one thing that helps is to give deadline. So it's like, let's say you have 1 week to write. You can say, okay, we're gonna take 3 days for the outline. After 3 days, we must start writing. So deadlines are very important to give yourself. So you tell, no matter what the outline is, after 3 days, we should start writing. So I think that also helps, giving yourself deadline. Okay, average time writing a literature review. Oof. It depends, right? So I would just tell you, I spend a lot more time here. So I spend a lot of time on the planning. Like, okay, what do I want to talk about? So you can even go as deep as you want. So maybe you can now start writing you can start writing, okay, examples of paper. Okay, in Kichi et al., who else did some work? You can even say in Kichi et al., what did she do? So you can go as deep. Eventually your outline becomes your paper, because you can start going as deep, as detailed as you want about things, such that when you want to start writing, it's just like really just copying and pasting and then turning into a paragraph. Any other questions? I think we have 1 more minute of questions and then we should end that. Okay, so I bring you back to this. When you want to start, so when you've done your idea, you've worked on it, and you want to share with the world, this is where you start writing your paper. It's very important to remember this. Start with the planning and the outline. It's very, very natural for people to jump into writing. But I have learned that it really helps if you take some time, no matter how small, to think and plan before you start writing. Okay. And of course, for me, the whole paper is always, what's the story you're trying to tell? So it's like, what have you done? We also talked about sharing your work. So in today's AI landscape, it's very important to share the things you've done with the world, and venues help for that. So conferences, workshops, indabas, talking with your friend, LyngualLabs, going for events. They are good places to share what you've done, of course, and also learn what others have done, right? So it's also, it's networking involved. It's not just you talking about what you've done, but also sharing, learning from others. And so we did some little thing about archival, non-archival, and how you can like leverage this to share your work in different venues without legally, without breaking any law or something. And so that's where archival, non-archival comes in. This explains a little bit. And then when you want to actually start writing, I think, like if there's something I want to leave you all with, I didn't give you any, template or anything, but really it's just the power of an outline. taking time to practice this. Okay, thank you all very much. It was really nice talking with you all. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will let Carlos to take the moderate from here. Probably it's a breakout session and stuff. So thank you all.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris, for that amazing session. Please, I mean, you can feel free to share your excitement in the chat. And also, if you want to react as well. It was a really wonderful session. And Chris is always back-to-back insights, ideas from early on you talked about AI conferences, and then you navigated into getting your work out there, and now planning and writing. So I mean it was really packed. And something that I remembered during the session was I've been privileged to be under Chris's mentorship for writing some papers. And the first thing Chris will always ask is, where's your outline? And yeah, like we're talking now about the outline as well, and saying how it could potentially benefit your speed up process for your writing. That's definitely something you want to try. Okay, so thank you so much, Chris. Once again, it was a privilege. It's always a privilege having you around, to speak and share some of your thoughts. Okay, so I don't know if there are still any questions. Okay, we'll still have a short breakout. I'll try as much as possible to reduce the number of people in the breakout rooms so that we can have like 10 minutes, and then you can meet people, you can discuss with them, talk about who you are, what you're doing within the space, or if you're just getting started in the space as well, and just get to network in that short time. Okay. We also have a couple of announcements, but I think I'll probably leave that for when we are back. But in the meantime, since there are no questions, all right, Shadrach is saying he learned something new. He definitely, like, I also learned something new as well, and I'm glad you found it insightful too. So Chris is still here. Chris, I don't know if you can help share how people can reach out to you, maybe via LinkedIn or Twitter. Which one is more convenient? How can people get in touch fast? And okay, I think there's still one more question. Oh, okay. I think that's a comment from Shadrach there. Okay, so I will try to get the breakout room set up now. Okay, Chris, again, you could please help us drop your LinkedIn and Twitter, yeah, so that people can find you easily. And if you prefer any one of those two socials, you can let us know now so that people could take advantage of that.
Okay, so real quick, if you want to follow the work I'm doing and the different things I'm part of, then social media, LinkedIn. So let me not say social media because I'm not a social media person, but LinkedIn and Twitter are the two ways to connect with what I'm doing. If you want to reach out to me, do not use Twitter. I don't like reply messages on Twitter. You could use LinkedIn, but I think to get the potentially best outreach for me, it's my email. So that's my first name, last name at gmail.com. So if it's urgent, then reach me out on email. If it's not urgent, you can write me on LinkedIn.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I have the breakout room set up. I think someone is still asking for your LinkedIn handle, Chris. So if you could share that in the chat. Okay, and yeah, again, maybe when we are back from the breakout, the video will be made available in case you missed any part of the session. And yeah, again, we would maybe resend the links, so the LinkedIn and the Twitter as well. All right, so I have it set up now. I will now push you to your breakout rooms. So please try to engage. Just take advantage of the short time. All right. Okay, so I'm going to push it now. So see you in 10 minutes. Okay, so it is possible that maybe the person in your breakout room has dropped off. So you can just let me know here in the main room. I will reassign you. And by the way, you can unmute your mic, and you should also have access to your video, because I think a lot of folks did not have access to that before entering the room. Okay. Okay, yes. You should be able to unmute yourself now. Thanks for that, Chris. Okay, so please let me know if they are still okay. Okay, yeah. If there are challenges, I'll fix that. Okay, someone is saying that they are the only ones in their breakout. I'll try to see to that. Yeah, you should be able to unmute your mic now. I've been able to give everyone access to their mics now. The mics are still disabled. Okay, so this is what I will do. Okay. Mm, okay. Okay. Yeah, so I'm closing the breakout room since people still have challenges with their mics. So what I would do is, yeah, no problem. I would restart the rooms. So apologies for that. I will restart the rooms, but then it would be shuffled. Yeah, but you should have access to your mics now. So please, sorry.
Yes,
Yeah, you
just
should have.
came up now.
Oh, okay, awesome.
The mic
All right.
was off all through the breakout session. So
All right, all right. Sorry about that. I'm going to send you back in now. Apologies for that.
okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Okay, so if you still have issues, because like there are some people that have network challenges, so they're actually dropping off from the breakout rooms, and they're just like three people in a breakout room. So if nobody is in your breakout room, you can let me know. I will just reassign you somewhere else. Okay, can see breakout room 8. Okay, so if you're still here in the main room and like you don't want to go, it's totally fine. If you want to go and you have some challenges, you can let me know, like in the chat, or you have access to your mic and camera, you can unmute if you want to. Okay, so we still have 8 minutes for the breakouts. So please go, 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 go. Michael, you should be in breakout room 1, but it's totally fine if you don't want to go. Okay, I can see Salafi Tech. Salafi Tech, welcome. I see you're just coming, so I will assign you to breakout room. So it should just be me here and GT. So please, should be should have been assigned to a breakout room. But again, it's fine if you just want to chill here in the main session. It's totally fine. And if you are the only one in your room, please let me know, because there are people that are dropping off. Some due to network reasons, or some want to be reassigned. You can let me know as well. Okay, let me see. Okay. So someone is the only one in the room 5. Okay. Yeah, that happens because people are dropping off. So I will reassign you. Oluwafemi Ojo, I see your hands are up. You can unmute and
To reassign me, I was in breakout room 3, and I was the only one there. So I
okay.
joined in, and I still somebody was talking. Probably she wasn't responding, so you can reassign me to that room.
Okay. Let me do that. Okay, so I've reassigned you. Okay, he has disappeared. All right, good. Esther Adenuga, I will assign someone. Uh, so where there are people. Okay. So it's just 4 minutes left, and then okay, so I left the main session. I hope nobody needed help here. The breakout is ending in like a few seconds, so people should be joining back. Okay, yeah. See people flowing in back. Okay. So welcome back, everyone. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's not like breakout rooms can be like that at times, especially when we have like a large number of people, and trying to maximize the time as well. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed your time in the breakout room. Yeah, I know. It can be like that. So if you needed more time, hopefully you would, you will get more next week Saturday. But just to talk about some of what we have in store for next week Saturday. So we have a lot, so you probably don't want to miss that. And that's like the final day. Oh yes, attendance link. Attendance link. So yeah, one of the admins should please put the attendance link in the chat. Some folks are asking for it. So if you've been able to attend 3 sessions so far, kudos to you. If not, like, you should try to, attend the last one, which is next week Saturday as well. Okay, and all right. Okay, yeah, so I think the attendance link is already in the chat, so you can take advantage of that now. So quickly fill out your attendance and okay. All right, so I'm just going to share my screen and just quickly wrap up the call in 1 minute. I'll try to be as fast as possible because we're out of time. Okay, so yeah, once again, this webinar is brought to you by LyngualLabs. At LyngualLabs, we do AI research, we curate speech data sets, and we have an AI academy that we run. You can scan the QR code if you want to know more. And also much thanks to the organizing team from Ore to myself, Kausa, GT, and Demilade. And I want to say big thanks to Lanfrica. Lanfrica, is our official sponsor for this event, and you can find them. You can just always Google them and find them at lanfrica.org. And yeah, they do lots of NLP tools, from data sets to maybe language tools that you need, and different other kind of NLP research or language technologies that you want to take advantage of. You'll find many of all those resources at Lanfrica. So yes, please do well to check them out. And yeah, thank you so much once again. Apologies, I always try to be on time, but for the sake of the old transition of today, we're still about 5 minutes in. Okay, so I also want to say just a few things. One is that many of you may have heard about the next week presentation. So if you have not heard about it, I'll just talk about it in about 30 seconds. So there's an opportunity to present your work. It's not necessarily your work. If you have a research work you're interested in presenting, there'll be a form. So the form is already on the WhatsApp group, where if you have not seen it, it will be resent. The form will also be sent via email as well to all registered attendees. So all you need to do is just to fill out the form to show your interest, and of course, during the course of the week, you'll get to know if you're selected to present. So it's essentially just an opportunity to present your work, share your research, and talk about what you're doing as well. I won't talk about prizes yet, but yeah, you can be sure that there's something in store. Also, next week is going to be a panel session, a very powerful one. We are bringing powerful people, and you can imagine if one session is as powerful as this, you can imagine what will be, when we have lots of people, gathered together for a panel space. So please bring your questions, burning questions, things you've always wanted to ask certain panelists. Please bring them to the session next week. There's also a showcase. Maybe I should spill it now. Showcase as well next week by Said Ni, who built Yan GPT. So if you're excited to see that, or ask questions, and maybe get a demo of some of that as well. So yes, Said will be presenting his work as well next week, and yeah, looking forward to the amazing time we have together. Once again, the link for the attendance is in the chat. The video will be shared afterwards to your email, so it's totally fine if you missed out any part of the session. You'll get the video recording. Yeah, so till then, see you next week. Yeah, bye.